Okay, so we've got this here, and we're going to do this pattern on the side real quick. So if we want to replace something with a pattern, what I'll usually do is I'll take this one here, and we'll do it two different ways. So we'll take this one, we'll duplicate it off, I'll hold down Shift and do this up arrow so I know it's at the top. And we'll hold down Shift and isolate that in just a second. Another way you can do it is there's nothing really to grab on her. Let's grab her face here. So I'm going to take her face, I'm going to duplicate her face, hold down Shift, bent up arrow. Then I'm going to hold down Shift, turn off these eyeballs, and then turn these on. So we're just going to be playing with these two things here. So if you don't have something specific you want to apply, if you just want to put like a headband on her, what we can do is we can go ahead, go to geometry. Let's say this is a DynaMesh here, so we can go ahead and delete lower. It's just a solid mesh, right? So we'll go ahead and go in here, we'll go to slice curve, and we'll just slice, or you can mask and make a polygroup. However you want to make a polygroup on here, just go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead now and go to select rectangle, isolate this polygroup, and we'll go ahead and do geometry modify topology delete hidden. Now, what we're going to use is NanoMesh. You can use MicroMesh for this as well, but NanoMesh is usually a little bit more robust. And in this particular case, if we're just doing fishnet type things, MicroMesh is just fine, because we're basically in NanoMesh going to replace every single face with a fishnet mesh. And in this case, what we're going to, these are a little bit small, so that'd be really tiny fishnets, and they don't really wrap around the object that well. So I'm going to go down here to Z-remesher here, and we'll do depth of slice down to 0 because we want nice even quads. And I'll just do Z-remesher half, so it's at 10,000 now. Let's go down to 5,000, and we have X symmetry turned on, so it'll be symmetrical. And just keep hitting half or dialing in that target polygon count until it's the size you want. And it looks like we have double turned on, so I'm going to go to display properties, double turn that off. And if this is the size of the fishnet you want, that's fine. And then if we back out here, you're going to see we have this object here. So when I was doing those patterns, what I did was just take this top polygroup here, and then just go ahead, go down here, delete lower, and delete hidden, and then just do the exact same thing, where it's like these are too small, and this one looks like I Z-remeshed it. I get better results when I Z-remesh things than when I just manually go in and plot points, unless it's really simple. So I'll just, again, go down to adaptive size down to 0, target polygon count half, hit Z-remesher, and, let's see. Okay, there we go. I don't know what that initial thing was. There we go. Now, if you wanted to clean this up, it looks like it's having a little hard time transitioning between this one and this front one here, so you can go in there and, put in a line there. Or you know what, this is fine too. So we'll do that fishnet on both of these things. So we've got both of these things here. So we'll start with this one, and we're going to use NanoMesh. So what I'm going to do is go out of edit mode, hit Control N, grab our simple brush here, grab a plane 3D, go into edit mode here, and let's go ahead and make it a polymesh 3D. Go to geometry. I'm just going to hit reconstruct about that many times, because what I'm going to do is hold down Control Shift Alt, get rid of these center ones here, and go to geometry modify topology delete hidden. And I'm going to get rid of these extraneous, although this one might work. I'm going to go to insert single edge loop, hold down Alt, and let's go ahead and delete higher. Hold down Alt, let's go ahead and hit X to go across X symmetry as well. And we'll just go ahead and get rid of these here. There we go. Now, when I do these fishnets, these points have to line up and match. So what I'm going to do is hover over this point and do delete point, and we'll just delete these points here. So now what I do, if I hold down Control and drag out a copy, basically these fishnets are going to just repeat in this pattern here, and then this pattern here. So every face is going to be filled up. Now I already know, because I've done this before, that I'm going to need to go down here. We can use the widget. You can also, since this is in the center of the world, go to deformation, and you can just rotate this along the Z 45 degrees, or you can hold down Shift and just wait until you hit 45 degrees on that little number down there. Another thing we're going to want to do to make this a little bit more even topology around here and allow it to bend around our surface, what I'm going to do is go to Insert Multiple Edge Loops, and we'll just drop that in there, and we'll just tap that one, hit Control W. Now I've got our fishnet mesh here. So now that that's sitting out here, I can make an insert mesh brush and create brush from what do? We go create insert mesh, and then you can create a NanoMesh brush from this, or you can just leave it sitting out here and just grab it later. That's what I'm going to do. So go back to our character here. We've got our headband. There we go. And now I can hover over this face, hit a space bar with the Z modeler brush BZM. Go insert NanoMesh, polygroup all, hit M and then just grab that mesh there. And then when you drag this out, you're going to be dragging that mesh onto that NanoMesh onto this object here. So I'm going to go to the geometry, modify topology, and we'll do align edge just to make sure these are all aligned. Of course, you could probably do most of that in the NanoMesh properties here underneath alignment and just say align to normal. We'll just go ahead and do that first. Now I want to make sure these things fit in here at a size of 1 with no offset and no rotation. There we go. So now all of these things should match up here. If I do show placement, turn that off, you can see that this is basically our fishnet mesh that we're going to use. You can offset these things if you want to, but this is what I'm going to use. So I'll turn show placement back on. We'll go inventory, 1 to mesh, and now I can do hold down Control Shift, isolate your band, Control Shift drag to get rid of that band. Go ahead and geometry modify topology, delete hidden, and then go ahead and geometry modify topology weld points to weld all these points, because if you didn't do that and you went in here and you like subdivided, you'd see they'd start splitting apart there on the seams. So just go through here and just weld. Now that you have that, now you can go in here with your Z modeler brush, BZM QMesh, polygroup all, go ahead and give this thing some thickness here, like so. And now if we go out of solo mode here, so go to subtool here, hold down Shift, bring everything back. We'll go ahead and Alt tap this one, get rid of that. There we go. So now we've got our fishnets here. You can go through here and you can move this around. And you could also do this on the NanoMesh if you wanted to have the NanoMesh still there. So that we have that. You can also go in here to the deformation menu, geometry deformations, and do like an inflate of 0.25 or something. And you can also, I'm going to go over here and uncrease all. So that's under your crease menu. Where are we at? Uncrease all. There we go. Now when you hit D for our dynamic preview, that'll go ahead and give us our, that looks like those packages of oranges you get at the grocery store. That's what that is. So let's go ahead and delete that. And same thing for this one here. If I go into solo mode, hit F to frame it. It's just going to replace all of these squares here. Now if this one here, let's try and do MicroMesh instead. So we'll go to geometry, see if I remember where MicroMesh even is. It's been a while since I've used it. There it is. So modify topology MicroMesh, we'll just grab that mesh here. And now it says best preview render, turn on draw MicroMesh in the render palette. So we'll go up here to the render palette, render properties, draw MicroMesh, and you can see every single one of those faces now is drawing that mesh. If I hit BPR render, let's turn that SPIX down to 0 so it goes faster. You'll see this is the MicroMesh that we're getting. It looks like it's overshooting that size a little bit. Let's go ahead and align these edges. Optimize points, align edges. For some reason, it's overshooting that. So what I might have to do, let's try this real quick. I'm going to take this one here. And for the MicroMesh, what I'm going to do is I'll just hit W to go into our gizmo mode. And let's just put this back to a square here. Let's see if that helps it any. So that's on there. Let's go back into draw mode. Let's go back to our original object here. Hit F to frame. There we go. And MicroMesh, we'll turn it off. And then we'll turn it back on using this. And then we'll hit BPR. Yeah, those are going to have to be... I'll have to figure it out for MicroMesh. There's something... Oh, you know what it is? Let's try Unify. Let's go back. Let's just keep trying. So I'm going to hit F here. We'll go ahead and rotate this 45. And then we'll go ahead and do... deformation, unify, and then we'll go back here. We will turn off MicroMesh, grab our new one here, hit F to frame, hit BPR. There we go. Now they line up. So if you like this geometry, you can go ahead and go to geometry, MicroMesh. In order to get this as actual geometry, go here to geometry. Where is it at? BPR. Oh, it's up here underneath your boop, boop, boop. There it is, convert BPR to geo. There we go. And now again, you're still going to want to go in here and weld these things. It's under your geometry modify topology weld points. And then we'll go ahead and do uncrease all. And you can also go in here to geometry or subtool. And instead of doing a Z modeler, you can try doing an extract. I'm going to smooth this down. We'll hit extract. That's a little bit thick. Let's change that to 0.005. You can extract that out. Oh, that's just a little bit thick. There you go. That'll work. I'll go ahead and hit accept. And on ZBrush for R8, when you hit accept on an extraction, it'll go ahead and select it for you. So now you've got that all extracted out, and you've got fishnets like that. So MicroMesh, NanoMesh,